Hey, so today I'm going to talk about supply and demand and the difference between the quantity supplied and demanded and the actual supply and demand curves. When you hear your teacher say supply and demand, they're probably talking about this whole curve right here. Supply is not just a number. If your teacher says the supply curve shifted, the supply curve is actually changing at every single point. As you can see, when you're talking about supply, you're talking about many numbers. That's because supply is the amount of something that a business will produce at every given price point. Let's use, just for example, hamburgers. As we can see from our supply and demand schedule here, at a price of $0, let me make that dollars real quick. At a price of $0, the restaurant does not want to make any hamburgers. It should be pretty obvious, right? If you're not getting paid to make something as a business owner, you're probably not going to make it for free because then you would be losing money. But demand over here, who does not like free hamburgers or anything that's free? Demand here, let's say there's just 100 people in this economy and they all have to eat 1 unit of food a day. Everyone would demand a hamburger at this price of 0. As the price increases, if I'm the business owner, I will slowly increase the amount I'm willing to make. If it only costs me $1 to make a hamburger and the price is $10, well, I'm going to be working as hard as I can to make as many hamburgers as possible so that I can sell them. But at that price, nobody wants to buy a hamburger because there's probably other food that is cheaper. So supply and demand, we use these supply and demand curves to find the equilibrium where supply and demand matches up. At a price of $10, the restaurant owner is working as hard as he can, but nobody is willing to buy at that price. So there has to be some middle price where the restaurant worker is willing to make the same amount as people are willing to buy at a certain price. In this case, it's $5 is our equilibrium price where the supply and demand curves cross. That's called our market clearing price. And so supply is just this curve, this line. This is the supply curve for the market. This means that at $1 per burger, the restaurant owner is willing to supply 10 burgers. At a price of $7 per burger, the restaurant owner is willing to supply 70 burgers. This is the difference between the supply is just the whole curve, and the quantity supplied. The quantity supplied at $7 is 70. The quantity supplied at $8 is 80 burgers. This can be a bit confusing, but let's explain it for demand, and let's see if it doesn't get a little more clear. So demand works just the same way, except a lot of people might be able to relate to this a little more because we buy things all the time. At a price of $10, I don't want to buy any burgers. As the price gets lower, I want to buy more burgers. And we can think of this as a whole group of people. Let's say 100 people per day, just so these numbers make a little more sense. If burgers are free at $0, then all 100 people will take one. I mean, you'd take one even if you didn't want to eat it, maybe at that price of $0. But demand is the number of burgers demanded at each price point. We're not talking about a specific number when we say demand. We just say demand for burgers is high, demand for burgers is low. But if we want to get more specific, we can say the quantity demanded. What is the quantity of burgers demanded if the price is $5? We can see the price is $5 and we go to the demand curve here. 50 burgers are demanded. At a price of $3, 70 burgers are demanded. So that, I hope that makes sense. Just supply and demand, it's just good to think of as a group of people making their buying and selling decisions. And it's really not that complicated. I think a lot of students make it more complicated than it needs to be. But if you have any questions, leave a comment. I will actually post the link to this file in the description of the video if you want to take a closer look. If you want to play around with these numbers, you can do that. But leave a comment if you want any more videos made. Thanks. Bye.